The book is always better, or at least in this case, the original movie. Beauty and the Beast is directed by Bill Condon and stars Emma Watson and Dan Stevens as the characters of Belle and the Beast. This is the latest update in Disney's live-action animated remakes, as Disney's been doing a lot of these with films like The Jungle Book, Cinderella, Maleficent, and Alice in Wonderland. Unlike some of the previous animated films, this one is a full-blown musical. It sticks very, very, very true to the original source material. The 1991 film is quite seriously a classic. It's one of those films that is always in the top 10 of best animated films ever made. The 1991 film was the first ever animated film to be nominated for the Best Picture Oscar. So suffice it to say, it's kind of a big deal. So why remake it? Why even do this? Quite simply, it's a cash grab for Disney. And that's really what this movie feels like. Now, I have some positive things and I have some negative things about this movie. Quite frankly, I didn't really even want to see this movie. I wasn't excited about it because it was another example of Hollywood touching a classic and making it worse. It's not super stoked, but I wanted to see what they would do. And as I sat there were moments where I was 100% on board and I was really into it. And I was saying, wow, this is a really good movie. And then there were a lot of times where I was just saying, oh, cool, I guess. So let's break it down to the positives and the negatives. And the positive sides. The first one, Emma Watson. Emma Watson did a really good job. She played a really good Belle. Her singing was even really good. There was no point where I was disenchanted by her singing or her acting ability. In the Harry Potter movies, there were some times where I wasn't always on board with her acting as Hermione, but this I really, really felt it. I really thought she sold the character well. There were a few times where honestly it felt like she was very much channeling the animated version of the character, but she was able to do enough of it that was her own that I thought was really well done and worth the praise. Secondly, the production design and the art design in this movie are fantastic. It just looks so cool. The set design, the costumes, each of the various characters in the castle are really intricate, interesting looking. They're very cool just to see. All the way this production was put together was just really, really good and was well worth the praise. And all the people who put all the effort into this deserve all kinds of recognition and admiration for the effort that they put into this, because it really, really shows. It's a very good looking film. CGI can be a little distracting at times, especially with the Beast. He was a little unbelievable in moments. I didn't really buy the CGI all the time. There are times where it looks great, and there are times where it was very obviously CGI. Another good positive of this movie has to be the opening musical number, or the song Belle. I loved that number. I thought it was so good, with all the characters moving in and out and all the design. That was the moment where I was really feeling like, man, if it continues to be this good, I could really be sold on it. However, unfortunately, a lot of the other musical numbers just didn't live up to it. And I'll get to that a little bit later when I talk about the negatives. But that number itself was just spot on. It was really, really cool. I really liked it. And finally, the thing that I thought that was the best about this movie was the actual romance. That was the biggest thing I thought was hinging on this movie, was if they couldn't sell that, they couldn't sell me on anything. And there were times where I thought it was really, really sweet and really good, where it was able to actually make this romance and this relationship believable beyond what the animated film did. And those elements I thought were really good with this movie. However, I have plenty of negatives. My first negative is Ewan McGregor, and this one's a little bit of a nitpick. I thought he was very miscast as Lumiere. I thought, they cast him solely out of star power, and he really didn't bring anything to the character to really give it some oomph. His song, Be Our Guest, was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. It was better than the rest of his performance. I couldn't stand his accent. It drives me nuts. It was just so fake. It wasn't as bad as the initial time I listened to it in the trailer, where I was just cringing about it. But in this movie, it still was pretty bad. It's not as bad as the trailers make it seem, but it's not very good. Second negative, the musical numbers. They're not as good as the animated musical numbers, which is kind of sad. Now, granted, you can do a lot more things in animated movies, like LeFou jumping on top of people's heads that you really couldn't do in a live-action movie. But a lot of the numbers, in particular the ones that stand out for me, Gaston and the Mob song in particular, that I just thought were underwhelming in comparison. I was very excited for those songs to come on, and it usually just fell flat for me. The performances were fine. The vocals were just good, but it didn't have the same beauty and majesty as the animated film did. So with the exception of the opening number, the bell song, I felt like a lot of the other musical numbers that are in the original film were just done better, and that was a little disappointing for me. My next negative with the film is the character of Gaston. Gaston in the animated film is actually horribly likable in the sense that, you hate him, but he's kind of fun. He's kind of a fun character because of how ridiculous he is and how self-centered he is. This one, they really tried to sell Gaston as a bad guy. He does a lot of things in this movie that are bad, really bad. And so they were really trying to sell him as this actual villain, this bad guy that you could hate. And I thought his character is just better served as being this pretentious, snobby, self-centered guy who doesn't get what he wants, and then he kind of goes a little crazy at the end. Though I did think Luke Evans did a good job. I think he performed the character well in how it was written. I just didn't really like the way it was written in comparison. Finally, the story. The original 1991 animated film is very precise. It's like an hour and 24 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes. It's a very short film. This movie relied so heavily on the original storyline. It didn't really try to do anything new. It added a few scenes, it did some new things, but for the most part, this is fundamentally the exact same movie. There's really no difference. Besides a couple of scenes and a couple of lines that are different or spoken by different characters, it's the same movie. And for me, I don't know if I really like that. And I'll get into why a little later. But it just missed the mark of what it could have been. Because there were moments, my favorite parts about this movie were the things that they added. The songs that they added, the new songs that they added, and the new scenes that they added, I thought were great. I thought they were really good. And those were the parts where I was really getting sold on the movie. And then they would do all the things I've seen in the original movie, and they didn't do them as well. Or it was okay, but I just liked it better in the original one. And so it felt less powerful, less cool. It was just like, well, the other one was better, the other one did that cooler. And the majority of the movie is that. And so it was hard for me to really get on board and really get behind it when it did take risks and it did do new things. It was really good. And yet that was such a minimal part of the movie itself as a whole. So now I want to talk a little bit about remakes and the purpose of remakes, because we see a lot of them in Hollywood today. Why do we remake movies? Why does Hollywood remake movies? Well, the whole purpose of a remake, at least in my mind, this is my own opinion, so feel free to disagree with me, but in my opinion, you remake a film to update the message to a modern audience. A film could have a really good message that's applicable today, but it's just the previous film isn't connecting with audiences, or hasn't connected with audiences, and it isn't being seen by modern audiences, and therefore it's not being able to deliver that to people. And so you're able to bring this timely message to a newer audience and let them see it in a new form. That's the purpose of a remake, and able to do new things. When you're able to do new things and make it better and improve upon the original, that's another reason to do a remake. I don't think Beauty and the Beast delivered on either of these levels. It didn't. It didn't try to do enough new things to warrant it, to be like, wow, that they really took risks here, and they really, should be praised for that or admired for that. They didn't do enough of that to really warrant me saying, wow, that was a worthwhile remake. And the message it's not like people aren't watching the original movie. People are going to watch Beauty and the Beast for decades. They're going to watch the animated film. They're going to show it to their kids, and their kids are going to show it to their kids because they grew up with it. It's just going to be a perpetual thing that's going to keep going, and it's going to be a very timeless film. And so to remake this movie feels kind of pointless, really. It's just, why? It's not like people are missing it. It's not like people have missed out on this movie. They've been seeing it their whole lives. I saw The Jungle Book last year. I really liked The Jungle Book. I thought it was really good. It won because it's just visually amazing, and it did all this cool things with visual effects, but outside of that, it improved upon the story. I'm not a huge fan of the original animated film. It did new things to adapt it and improve upon it in that medium, because it really did. And so I feel like this movie was on a crutch, and the crutch was the 1991 animated classic film. So many people love that movie that a lot of people would have been really upset if this movie had did a whole lot of things differently. But there were just so many moments that were exactly the same and are better in the animated movie. In regards to Disney's live action remakes that they're doing, I liked The Jungle Book, so I have to say that one was good. I think this one was, it was well made, it was well put together, but it didn't do anything for me. It didn't add anything new. It's not something I'd be like, wow, I really want to see the live action Beauty and the Beast again. If I'm going to see Beauty and the Beast again, I'm going to go watch the animated film. I'm not going to return to this one. If they can continue making these films and they can make them well enough that I would prefer to watch them over the animated films, that would be one thing. Or if they did things new enough or different enough to make me go, wow, that's actually kind of cool. I like this in a different way. That's really good. That's a little bit better than the animated film. If they can do that, I'm okay with it. Outside of that, I really don't like the idea of remaking them. I just don't see the point. Don't touch something that's great. Leave it alone. It's fine. People are going to keep watching it. What's the need? So that's overall why this movie failed for me. It's good. It's well made. It's well performed. It's beautiful to look at. It's got so many good things about it. It just failed to deliver in a way that was better than the original. And for me, it kind of fails, and so it's not a very memorable film. Overall, I think Beauty and the Beast is an entertaining film. It's a fun musical. It's got some cool numbers that are different, that are new. But besides that, I'd say watch the animated film. Go back to that. But if you want to go see it, go see it. It's a fun time. It's an enjoyable movie. It's entertaining. I was entertained. I'm going to give Beauty and the Beast a lower score. I'm going to give it a score of about 75, just because I felt it didn't quite deliver. So those are my thoughts. Thank you very much. And guys, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel. There will be new videos coming out every week, not just on movie reviews, but I'm going to be doing other things about commentary about movies and Hollywood and media and its effect on society, among other things. I'm going to be doing a lot of these in the coming weeks. I'm going to be posting one hopefully every week. I'm going to be working on that. So subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Get it out there. That would be a really, really, really big help. So thank you so much, guys, for watching.